Hey guys, welcome back to the No Bull Broker. I'm your host, Jonathan Lickstein here. On the No Bull Broker, we speak with producers and professionals in the real estate industry. Might be an agent, might be a broker, lender, title company, inspector, the list goes on and on. Today I'm going to welcome a producer who is professional and I like to call a friend. Mr. Brian Buckley, welcome.
Thank you.
Brian is the team leader with his partner Tara, his fiance Tara.
Correct.
If I'm okay saying that.
Yeah.
All right. Of your Florida agent residential real estate team in South Florida. Brian does things a little bit differently at your Florida agent, and I like it, and that's why he's here. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Brian, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Love your accent. You're a Georgia boy. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing and why you love South Florida.
Yeah. So yes, I'm from Atlanta. I grew up in a small town. Both Tara and I grew up in a small town, Snellville, Georgia, where everybody's somebody. It's a little bit north of Atlanta. I went to the University of Georgia. I've been in residential and commercial building and construction for a good bit of my life. And Tara and I moved down here when her her only daughter went off to college, which was a little over 2.5 years ago. My best friend, who's a friend of Nate's, has lived down here 25 years, so I've been trying to get down here for a while, and the time presented itself, so we moved down here.
You made the move. So you guys grew up together, actually.
Yes.
Awesome.
We did. So, well, Tara's younger than me, so I have a younger brother. My younger brother and Tara are friends.
So you haven't been in real estate forever. You're pretty new, actually. Just got a couple years veteran under your belt.
Right.
Right. And you just jumped right in and said, I can do things differently, and went straight in almost to creating a team and building this collaborative atmosphere, which is what makes your group so unique. So what got you into the business? What made you get into real estate?
So, my background was in residential construction and development. So I've been on that end of things, selling my own homes, but having agents represent me. So the negotiation part of that I was familiar with. So I did that from like 1995 to 2008 when the collapse happened. I just kind of wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was in a couple other things, sold a company. But then I was like, I want to jump back into real estate. I want to see, if I can't build something, unique. So yeah, that's kind of why we came down here, got our license. I knew Nate, so, it was already fit, and it was an easier kind of transition because he introduced me to you and then Jeremy and a few others. So I was able to kind of get up to speed. But when I dig into something or start something, it's, 24 hours a day. I'm fully immersed in it.
Obsessed. And that goes
Yes.
that goes for any business, really. You can find success in whatever industry you're going into if you make it an obsession. You make it a passion.
Agreed. And, it's kind of one of the things I tell my team members is that you'll never work a day if every day you just put work into your life. So, if it's Thursday at 2 o'clock and you want to go to the movies, if your stuff's done, go to the movies. But unfortunately, there's Saturdays that I get calls. I'm on the beach with my wife, and I tell people, sure, I'll be there in an hour. And I'll set an appointment. I'll go. And I'll tell them, hey, excuse me, but I was on the beach with my family, but I know this was a convenient time for you and important. And most people are like, wow, if you left your family in a bathing suit and shorts to come show us a home, then, you're the agent for us. But if you kind of live that way, you don't really work. And that's what I try to break that model of, oh, it's Friday, 6 o'clock, week's over. The week's not over. You work for yourself. So you get whatever pay you put in. So
Let's go back to that for 1 second. So
Yeah.
Friday, 6 o'clock. It's the week's over. I'm going into weekend mode. I'm not working. That's a huge difference between your mentality and you're not working. You're around the clock. You're working for yourself.
Correct.
You started a business when you got your real estate license. And treating it like a job versus treating it like a business, like your own business.
100%. And, I had one of the younger guys who's done really well, successful. It was a Saturday. I gave him a lead. And he said, oh, I'm on the way to the beach. And my reply was, well, let me ask you, which one of your friends is giving you $20,000 when you get to the beach? And he said, what are you talking about? He says, who's giving you 20 grand? Well, nobody. Well, I am. I'm giving you 20 grand right now. Go meet this guy, write the deal. And sure enough, he did. He left the beach, met the person, got it under contract, and he got himself a fat commission check. So ever since then, the light click that he gets what I'm saying.
How do you send that message home? I mean, today's day, people are so, it's about me, it's about enjoying the day, et cetera, but really there's enjoyment in going to do this with other people,
100%.
right? How do you instill that with your team members? How do you get that done? That was a pretty impactful one right there.
Yeah, so I try to kind of preach that if you stop looking at it as a burden and just you have to breathe every day to stay alive. Well, you have to work every day to stay alive too. And if it means, it's kind of the other thing too, is I'm willing to do what most aren't willing to do. I've got showings tonight at 7 and 8 o'clock after I leave you. Most people, I'm not going out at 8 o'clock. Not everyone, but most. I think it's what you have to separate.
I agree.
Yourself.
I thought that was kind of normal. I mean, back when I was working with clients and out and selling residential real estate, I felt like whatever time you want to go, it's not 1 o'clock in the morning, granted.
Right,
but
exactly.
7, 8 o'clock, I've done showings with flashlights.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of me. And, I kind of believe in a regimented schedule as well, too. So that's kind of, one of my other things that I preach is the regimented schedule.
Time blocking, getting stuff done when it needs to get done, but the rest is kind of free flow, let's go.
100%. 100%.
So you can get into real estate, specialize wherever you want to specialize. You had this creative, this background in residential and commercial construction and development. You had a wealth of knowledge getting into the business. Why take others under your wing? Why did you decide to start a team instead of doing it by yourself? Because you could.
Yeah. So when I first joined Location, I was on a team. And I was on the team, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And I was just like, I would have done things differently. It's one of the reasons I stepped out. The other thing is that, I was very thankful that I had easy access to you when I started. So if I had like a, oh my God question, it was to call you and I got an answer, which, I didn't take advantage of. And I only had to ask you once and I wrote it down. So I started to think, how can I help others? I'm happy to help you. I think there is some secret sauce to real estate, but I don't think it's a deep secret. I think it's hard work. I'm willing to share it with you because
you don't need to. We don't need to go through that. I don't want.
Well,
you to
I'm
put
saying
out.
I'm willing to share like my knowledge to agents on my team. It's whether or not they're willing to do it is the difference.
Big differentiator there.
I could give you all the secrets. It's are you going to do it?
I was just on the phone with someone earlier today, a broker in Georgia, and we were talking about mentoring agents and how to make agents more successful. And I looked back and, we're at the end of the year, wrapping up numbers, everything, and I'm looking through production. And I look at the top 10 producers that I'm going through and total sales volume. Like, how are people doing? Who's there? Who's worked their way through? And just kind of trends, right? And looking through that top 10 group, there are 2 names that stuck out to me. And there are 2 people who started with us brand new licensed. One of them I mentored, one of them I didn't. And they're both making great money in real estate, comparatively speaking, right? The average salary or income level for a realtor in 2022 was around $50,000. It was $45,000, $50,000, right? So these people are making well above the average. They're doing very well for themselves compared to where they were. And just looking back, the mentorship can be the same for everybody across the board. The guidance, the education, but it's what you do with that, what you put into play, and actually taking action on those tips and those tools, that is all the differentiator between them.
100%. If you told me something, I jumped on it. I understood it, I checked it out, read it, immersed it, and made it part of my daily life.
What I do want to commend you on is taking that and taking action and running with it. I always say there's 2 people that come into this industry. One needs to see somebody else do it before they do it themselves, and the other can take an idea and make it theirs.
Correct.
You are that ladder, which is a great tool as an entrepreneur in any industry. You need to take one little snippet and I'm going to make something out of it. Whereas the others follow, and then they try, they dip their toe in, oop, it's a little cold, or I'm not comfortable. You have to be able to pull that mask off in real estate, right?
You have to become comfortable being very, very uncomfortable in this business. You have to become uncomfortable in order to be comfortable.
Completely. Get comfortable getting uncomfortable.
Oh,
I stole that.
no, you did, but I'm just saying you're 100% correct. Like, yeah, for sure.
So, what made you were on a team, it was not the experience that you expected, and you said, I can do things differently. What are the biggest things that you did differently that were positive, and what's something that you wish you did differently?
So now, I would say this last year has been much more successful than our first year. I'm not a big believer in a lot of like team meetings just to meet, to stare at each other and listen to me ramble. But I have, over the last few months, realized the importance of just kind of meeting and masterminding and discussing what everybody's got going on. So that's something we're going to do a lot more of this year. And again, it's not just to hear me talk, because I want to hear what everybody has to say. That, collectively, we should all work together to achieve the one goal. I've always believed in all my businesses that if everybody around me was making money, then it was obvious I was making money. That I don't view things of, these are all my leads, and I need 70%, and this is what you're going to do. I'm very fair on my splits. I'm always open-minded to hear something like, hey, Jonathan, I don't agree with this. Okay, prove me wrong, or explain your position, and I'm happy to listen to it. So that's probably one of the other things that I felt like, hey, just because you're 27 years old and new to this business doesn't mean, you're stupid. So maybe you got some cultural idea of your bracket that, 50-something, I'm too far removed for. So I like to listen, have input from my whole team, and hey, let's give it a try. Let's see if it works better than the way I think it should work. I'm always open to that.
So there's a big difference of perception there, right? Different perspectives, different age brackets that bring different pieces. But that spins right back into real estate, right?
Correct.
So you talked about your experience with residential and commercial. Two very different animals and different types of customers.
Totally.
How about average or traditional home buyer versus luxury? What's the difference? What are the demands?
They too are a situation by situation difference. I think you need to understand and be able to listen, not hear, but listen and comprehend what your client is saying to you, and don't fire off with emotion. Like, I like to digest what people say. I did a showing the other day, $16.5 million home. The listing agent had the financials on the young man. The young man was like 31 years old. Had the financials on the young man, and still asked, so who are we showing this house for? And I just said, you know who we're showing this house for. We're going to proceed.
An important thing to remember is too much prying in that type of industry. People don't want you to pry.
I agree, 100%. To be honest, I don't know what he does. I didn't ask. It's none of my business.
It doesn't really matter.
It's irrelevant.
Completely.
He sent a bank statement, and the bank statement supported what we were looking at, and that's all I care about.
That's all that matters. When you get up into these higher end properties, these higher end customers, they value. You go over the list of responsibilities on these contracts of what your duties are. Be fair, be
Right.
responsive, be trustworthy, take care, due diligence, etc. And along the lines, once you hit over a certain price point, discretion is added onto that list right there, where you stop asking too many questions. You got the money, you can prove that you can buy this home, let's go, I don't care what your name is.
I think there's a little more emotion involved if you were going to classify luxury versus non-luxury. The non-luxury, in my opinion, has a whole lot more feeling and emotion to it.
Completely.
It's not transactional. That you and I discussed this, that $5 million and north is transactional.
Right.
Below that can get emotional, and
It's kind of crazy to think about this, but when you get to that point, $100,000 is like, whatever.
it's nothing. It's
And we're in the
It's a happy meal.
$500,000 price point, and it's 20% of their entire purchase.
which you have to respect both, but you almost have to play like referee and counselor and negotiator, and realtor.
What it sounds like is on the luxury side is it's not like what you see on TV, right? It's
It is
not
not.
selling sunsets. It's
No.
not $1 million listing LA, right?
It is not.
People are still people. They just value different pieces. They have different values and exchanges for what you're doing and have different expectations. So if someone is trying to break themselves into the luxury market, for example, how would you brand yourself? How would you tweak yourself to that market? Is there a difference?
So, I also believe real estate is a personality thing. And I'm unique, and I know I'm unique. I say unique things, but I do exactly what I say I'm going to do.
There's only two of you in the world.
Yes,
You and Guy Fieri.
this is true. I've signed his autograph many a time.
We're going to dive into that story real quick
Okay.
before we go back to luxury, because we've left the elephant in the room, or at least the bull in the room here on the table.
Yes.
And we have a special bottle sitting next to him.
Correct.
This is Guy Fieri's tequila
Yes.
that you brought, thank you, autographed by Guy Fieri with this medallion. Guy Fieri, why Guy Fieri?
So it's funny, I guess my haircut, but places I go, I get approached all the time. Can I have your autograph? I love your show. So my fiance / wife Tara is always like, what in the world? If I wear a visor, I actually have people come up behind me and put their hand in my hair. I was just checking to see if it was the hat. I love your show. So yeah, I know, right? And Tara and I were going to Switzerland 2 or 3 years ago to go snow skiing, and the woman at TSA said, "Oh my God, is your real name Brian Buckley? I love your show." And Tara just started shaking her head, and I said, "Yes, that's my real name. Don't share that."
You can pull that off with some sunglasses, some like rocker sunglasses.
Correct. When I'm in casual mode. So yeah, when Tara and I met him to get the bottles signed a few weeks ago, he was like, "Wow, man, you're rocking my look. You're just missing some tattoos."
But it's familiarity like that, comfortability. You struck up that conversation, right? I'm segueing right back into real estate. We got
Yeah.
distracted for a minute. Going back into real estate, it's a personality like that, not being afraid to go, and you struck up that conversation with Guy Fieri. You could have been one of those people who slid in, got the autograph, and walked right back out.
Right.
But that's not your personality.
Correct. And I don't know what it is. It's unique. Tara always shakes her head that people just randomly come up and talk to me. I don't know why. It's not always a good thing, but
It's that inviting personality.
correct. And I think that's what I try to tell the team members. And I've heard you say it time and time again. Is just ask people. And the other thing is I'm never to push like, "Hi, I'm Brian. I'm a realtor." It's hey, if I can ever help you in any way, it's always my departing. If I can help you in any way, I'm in real estate. Feel free to call me. If you need help moving or something, I'm always here to help. And for me, I think it doesn't feel like the salesman, the push on you. Oh, let me represent you. Here, give me your number. Give me your number. Just the more relaxed you take it, my opinion, the people will come to you. That okay, the guy wasn't begging or asking. He asked me what he could do for me.
Authenticity.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. When people call me, if they just want to generally meet, I'm usually not into like meeting for coffee. It's just not my thing. But if you approach me in the right way, I will likely meet you for coffee.
Never turn away a conversation.
Correct.
Never turn away a conversation. So we were talking about luxury for a little bit, so I'm going to stick on that for a minute.
All right.
Do you find that it's similar, your ability to meet new people, or how do you strike these conversations with someone if you're trying to go out and about? And I need to set the table for you a little bit here, kind of threw that out of left field. So getting into the industry, we have several of our listeners who are brand new licensed agents, and they're trying to find their path. They're trying to figure out what is my angle. As you did mention that there is a magic pill that's not that secretive, but at the same time, everybody's pill looks different.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's personality can be successful in real estate, but their angle changes. It goes from online marketing to in-person networking to referral marketing, and just every angle is a little bit different of a personality. So what works for one might not work for another. So here's what I'm looking for. When going into the industry to begin with, how can someone strike up the conversations or find their pathway? Like what angle they should be coming from? How can somebody find that? How did you find yours?
Yeah, one, we got involved in charitable things. Tara got heavily involved in a lot of women's executive groups, and she became a member of another charity group, the Royal Dames. For that brought people, or Tara's fear of folks. I'm into more like hobby things, so I got into scuba diving, so I dive with some locals around the Pompano area. Clubs, things that are of interest to you, that you have like-minded people, because then you just start the like-minded conversation, and then somewhere along the lines, I'm never a fan of going, so Jonathan, tell me, what do you do? You know, it'll come naturally some way. Somewhere you'll slip up and tell me what you do, or slide it into a conversation. Oh, that's interesting. I got a friend that does it. You know, I'm in real estate. If I can ever help you in any way, Jonathan, you know, give me a call. I'll be happy to help you. You know, and you know, our very first year, I think we did maybe 4 million. It wasn't very big, and it was just off of that sphere. And you know, I approached you of, how do I blow this thing up? You know what? And you told me the secret sauce.
It's no secret. You can grow without doing paid lead generation. It's just the timeline is a lot longer.
Correct.
Right? Perfect example. Those 2 agents I was mentioning, right? And those are the 2 in the top 10. They took very different pathways to get there. One was all relationship and sweat equity, and the other one spent money on lead generation. One did get there faster, but it cost him a lot more to get there. So it was really just a 1-year difference between the 2 of them. One got there faster. He definitely pocketed more money, but it cost him more up front. Your life circumstances will dictate how you can do this. There's not one way to be successful in real estate. There's many different pathways, but different people have different access to different routes. And
Yes.
it's either you pay to play or you got to wait. And it takes time.
And it does. It takes
It's
time.
hard.
But you know, finally, we're rolling into year number 3 now. That yes, year number 1, who was mostly rental clients, are now calling to buy. But I'm constantly touching them. You know, the CRM set up. You know, we do hand notes. We're constantly touching our past customers. And I looked at it as a 5-year gap. That year 1 people within 5 years
Come back around.
would come back around.
Yeah.
And then, you know, this last year, man, we spent heavily to get where we are last year.
So you mentioned something there I'm going to bring up. Everyone likes to ask whenever I go to a speaking engagement, the first question is, what CRM should I use? And I give them that cheesy feedback. That's the one you use is the best CRM.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But realistically, what CRM are you guys using?
So we use Commissions Inc. Sync, C-I-N-C.
Got it.
And it fit my needs.
What drew you to Commissions Inc.?
I liked all the features within the platform. I request that everyone on our team make all calls.
I respectfully and forcefully request.
Yes, exactly. I demand with a smile that all of our interactions for a customer is done within the CRM. So we text, call, email, everything from our CRM. So at any time, if that lead gets passed around, we know the chain. We know exactly who's touched it, what they've done, what they've looked at. For me, Sync just
It fit the bill.
it fit the bill,
Yeah.
and I like the fact that
It's synced with your initiatives.
it did, and they have a wonderful app with a dialer. So from the phone, if I'm sitting somewhere, I can hit my, people that haven't been called, hit the dialer, and boom, I can knock out 50 calls in 30 minutes.
The fact that you went to Commissions Inc. tells me how much that you've invested not only time but money into your business. Knowing the rates of the big players in that field, Commissions Inc. is definitely up there. It's probably the most expensive one on the board, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah, and I've befriended a few of the instructors that hold Sync University. They have all these meetups and masterminds. So Tara and I have been invited to the next mastermind because of our growth as well. But their support is amazing. That's the other thing. If I don't understand something, there's an 800 number call.
Get help right away.
You get walked through it right away. They have Sync University, which has any question you have. If you typed it in, there's a video.
So we're gonna segue off of that. We're talking about tools on your team actually.
Yep.
So we're going to dive into the team build, right? The structure of your team, and lessons learned, obviously. So getting into it, there's some important pieces for you to put into place, right? I want to focus on team building right now. So there's some important pieces to put into place before bringing on your first agent. And what are a couple of those things?
Yeah,
What do you need to do before you bring somebody in the door that you're now responsible for?
yes, I'm pretty like brutally honest on what they're potentially looking at over the next 6 months. Like I don't want to paint pipe dreams and fairies for everyone. I want to be like, hey, this is what you're kind of looking at. Scripting, so that's another piece that I didn't believe at first, but now I'm a believer. If that script isn't dialed in, and when I say script, it's not like, you know,
Reading.
salesman script, like hard. It, once you say it so much, it becomes natural and no longer sounds like a script.
It's guiding your side of the conversation where every sentence pushes you further towards the goal.
Yes, and you know all those questions open ended for a response. For every what, I want 3 whys. If you tell me a what, I'm gonna go 3 whys deep on why you gave me that what, because you have to understand your customer's needs and wants. So there's that, and making sure that the team members have the right tools for success. And the other thing I tell everyone is, if my phone's on, you can call me. But most people laugh. I'm in bed by 8 o'clock at night, 8:30, because I get up at 4:30 every single morning. So, and that's just my schedule. And kind of tell them that too. That was one of our kind of discussions being the first of the year that, hey, I'd like for everybody to try and get up an hour earlier than they normally do. And not that hour to work, but that hour for yourself.
To get yourself ready for your day.
Because by when 9 o'clock rolls around and the team's awake and customers awake, I'm relaxed. I've been to the gym at 5:30 in the morning, I've come home, taken a shower, I've reviewed all the team's notes, what's going on in the CRM, so I can call you relaxed at 9 o'clock. Hey, Jonathan, I noticed Susie Small, you know, what's going on with her? Can I help you in any way? Versus 8:30, me waking up at 9 o'clock, Jonathan, in a frazzle. That, you know, if you regiment your life, I don't live in chaos. Chaos and I don't do well together.
I completely get that.
I don't operate well at all in chaos.
Completely get that.
Tell everyone that. They look at me. I've been waking up at 4:30 in the morning since 1996 or so. I had a mentor in the construction business of 10 years older than me.
1996. Okay. I'm just thinking, I'm putting into play, where was I in 1996? My God, I was not waking up at 4:30 in the morning, that's for damn sure.
Exactly. So, you know, at 5 a.m., I met my mentor at the Waffle House in Snellville every morning, and that's how I started my day. We'd talk about my blueprints, plans, schedules of what I had going on in my houses. So by 7 a.m. when I was on the job site, I was calm. And it's the same thing. And honestly, most Saturdays and Sundays, I'm up by 5:30.
I don't know if our listeners are thinking the same thing, but I'm wondering, are you smothered and covered? How do you do your
Yes.
Waffle House hash browns?
Smothered, covered, and chunked.
And chunk, what's the chunk?
Ham.
Ham. Okay, all right.
Smothered, scattered,
I can do that.
smothered, covered, and chunked.
I can do that. I like that. I miss Waffle House. We don't have a Waffle
We
House.
do
now.
have
We do?
one on Dixie, like heading towards Fort. I have not eaten there.
I'm not sure that's where I want to
Yes.
be at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
That's
in the
why I
morning.
haven't eaten there yet, because every time I come by, I'm like, yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
Going back into the team building, there were a few items that we talked about, getting things set ahead of time, giving the right expectation when somebody's joining the team. But now that they've joined, or you've gone through this for a while now, you've gone through a number of team members, you found those that worked well and those that didn't work well, right? You found the personality that fits your team, not just the team working for them, but them working for your team at the same time. But what have you learned that you wish you would have started at the beginning?
Exactly. I don't believe I make any mistakes. I believe I've taught myself
Will
lessons.
Tara agree with that statement?
Probably not. Probably not. But, you know, a big important factor for both Tara and myself is that our team, the ecosystem, is perfect. Like, it's like a family. I don't need any strife. I don't need any negativity. It's already, you know, negative enough out there. I don't need that in-house. So, yeah, that being said, you know, key for me is the ecosystem, is keeping the family and the team clean.
I think you didn't mention it, but the word I think is going to encompass what you're looking for is the culture.
Yes.
The culture of your team. Anytime I have seen you out with your team or interacting with your team, meeting in this same room with your team, I'll open the door, I'll walk in, and it's deer in headlights from them and you guys because you're so locked in and engaged with each other. It's
Right.
incredible.
Yeah, and I like to try and stay positive. You know, one of our team members has had some struggles over the last few months, and sure enough, I just told him stay the course, stay positive, keep grinding. Last week, you got 3 homes under contract, 3, for a total of like $1,000,000, $1,500,000.
I encountered a few months ago was at Universal Studios, and someone I was with, everybody was in real estate, said I don't like roller coasters. And I said, so what business are you in? And she had no idea what I was saying. I said, it's real estate. You don't like roller coasters, but we're in real estate. Oh, there's lots of ups and downs, and it's going to make you want to puke sometimes. It's going to make you want to get off. But you just got to stay the course. You got to ride it out because it will come back up. Everything will be fine. If you continue with your regimented process, you continue to get up every day like it's your world, your life, your business, it's going to happen.
Yeah, and you just have to kind of, react. Don't go crazy. Don't panic. Just adjust.
Adjust.
Just
Pivot.
make an adjustment.
Tweaks. So real estate's fun. Would you agree?
It's a blast.
Right?
I meet all kinds of unique, interesting people. You talk about the freedom. Yeah, you have freedom, but you also have a lot of responsibility.
Tremendous.
And don't neglect the responsibility and the freedom. You like keep everything in check, and you'll live a great life.
It's very easy. It's very easy for somebody to get distracted and diverted off of what their initiatives were in real estate and lose themselves, really.
Squirrel,
Yeah, exactly.
shiny object.
Exactly. Distractions, working from home. It's a very individualized business, so it's hard to stay motivated when you don't have that camaraderie, which is a huge testament to the team structure. Huge.
And I think, you asked me earlier, I think it's one of the things that also I like about the team structure is I feel like accountable to the team. Like, I've told you I'm going to do this, so
They keep you accountable to hold up your end of the bargain.
100, my responsibilities are this. I expect the same from you, but that's it. That's part of the culture, if you will. That
What I love about how you structured your team is you mentioned this before in different words, and I ate it up. If the people around you are successful, you are being successful.
100%. That's why, yeah, my splits are fair. Obviously, I don't want you to ever leave. If you're a big producer, I'm game to talk,
But we can all do this together.
100%. You have to realize, my portion of, what I pay out every month. You need to recognize that, which hopefully I've done a good job of bringing those kind of team members on, that everybody thinks the same.
That's the biggest issue I have with this industry. It's no, not for your part. I'm saying the
Right.
contrary is in such, again, an individualized business, everyone's kind of on their own. It doesn't matter what company you work for. It doesn't matter what part of the industry you're in. More often than not, they're by themselves doing something else or somewhere else. They're not like your traditional professional or service provider that sits in an office to schedule your appointment to then go out. In today's day, most people are sitting at home, or they're driving the kids to school, or they're going to the gym, or they're sitting at the beach, or they're fishing. There's always some other activity. It's really hard to feel like you're part of something bigger, and teams really give that to you. Teams really keep you motivated, keep you accountable, keep you pushing forward because you're all in it together.
Correct. My goal is I'd like to see everybody on the team having 3 sales a month, and I'll do whatever it is to help you get there. One of the team members this morning, I said, hey, if you feel overwhelmed, you have Tara and I. I'll help book your showings. I'll help print whatever you need. I'll help you organize your day. Just tell me, what do you need from me? Don't feel like you're drowning. Tara and I will jump in and help you in any way we can. Me, that's what I want. Same thing, with the team. Jonathan, you're on my team, and all of a sudden you have something you have to do. Call one of us. We'll go show that house for you.
We'll pick you up.
But it's still your deal, Jonathan. I'm not gonna be one of these that, well, if you give me $100, I'll go and show. Yeah, that dog ain't gonna hunt. It's not. I'm not. That's not what I want around me.
We were starting on this. Real estate's fun.
Yep.
Transactions are never the same. People are nuts.
People are insane.
Give me a story. This is something we do on every episode. I want a story of a crazy transaction or a crazy showing or something that just made you step back and say, 4-letter word, this is real estate right here for you.
Yeah, I guess I did have one transaction that my buyer knew the seller, so every night they were having beers together and changing the terms over beers, for which I didn't mind if they talked about it and they handled it. Just tell me what it is and I'll write up the addendum. The listing agent didn't like that so much, but I'm like, what do you want me to do? They're friends. They're drinking.
How did that transaction come to play? It was listed and the buyer came and it just happened to happen?
Yeah, they were both in the construction industry, and when we walked in the house, my guy was a cabinet guy. He knew the windows in the house, and he asked, "Hey, is the owner of
So and so.
Yes," and that's how it came to be. So when we made the offer, recognized the names, and then I think they regularly met for drinks. So all of a sudden, during this,
It became a new conversation when they didn't really know what was happening.
correct, and my buyer had some challenges. He was selling some commercial building, paying all cash. The closing extended out further than anybody really wanted it to, but I had no control over it because these two were having drinks and making up new terms.
And it all closed, I'm sure.
It all closed.
It all closed.
All good. But yeah, that was probably, I take everything kind of with a grain of salt. That I already know there's emotions involved. It's a big purchase. It's going to be crazy.
I've heard people falling in sinkholes. I've heard people's feet going through patios. We had somebody on this show whose daughter at a showing literally took a dump on the bedroom floor. We've had people walk in on people sleeping together, showering, etc. And all you got for me is two guys having beers changing terms of contract?
Yes, unfortunately, that's all I got.
That's real estate, though.
And I'm okay with that.
That's real estate. What I want to say and what I want to leave you with is what happened in your past or your life that you've experienced doesn't determine what your future will be. You create your own future. And if you choose to find success by making others successful, then so be it.
That's it. That's the formula.
That's no bull. Thanks, Brian.
Yes, sir.
My man.